one of the Financial Wellness Workshop with Ida Anderson and Lexi Johnson. The title is How to Become Debt Free, and it's the definitive guide to breaking generational curses. All right, Lexi, I'm gonna let you take it away from here. Thank you so much.
All right, hey, thank you, Ida. Hey, listen, guys, this is what happens sometimes with technology. Sunday, I was preaching a sermon for a friend's church, and it happened to me. It never had happened before, but this is how technology does, right? But we're gonna move right along. Thank you, Ida. We're here tonight. We're gonna talk about a very, very important topic, how to become debt-free, the definitive guide to breaking generational curses. So you can go ahead and advance the slide. And tonight, what we want to do is shatter a myth, if you will, as it relates to debt, right? One of the things that we need to know, and this is a huge, huge problem. I don't think that we really understand how huge of a problem debt is. Of all the threats to your financial security, none is more dangerous than debt. And what makes it even more dangerous is that we as a people, we have become resigned to the fact that debt is just part of our lives. We look at it and say it's just part of our lives. I'm gonna, go to my grave with debt. So we've become kind of apathetic to it, if you will, right? But that is extremely dangerous because when we say that it's a threat, our goal really is to become financially independent. And to become financially independent simply means that I get to a place where I have choices and I am in control of my money. But when we have debt, we're not in control of our money. We are not, debt doesn't allow us to have options, particularly later on in life when we're ready to, retire and in, the age where we're supposed to be enjoying life, right? Go ahead and advance the slide. All right, so as I mentioned, that's a very serious problem. So let's just look at how serious it is. 40% of Americans could pay an unexpected $1,000 expense, right? And it's not that they have this, not just that they have this $1,000 expense, it's the fact that it will set them back because most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, right? And so if the transmission goes out on the car, if the furnace goes out, all of these things that may cost hundreds of dollars, maybe even $1,000, will set most people back tremendously. So that's a huge problem. Next, U.S. households with debt carry an average credit card balance of $6,200. There were 497,000 personal and business bankruptcies nationwide in 2019. And we know we filed bankruptcy, obviously, because we cannot keep up with the debt that we have created. So these are some, you can advance the slide. These are some very, very serious problems. Not only will it cause problems today, as I mentioned, but they'll cause problems down the line in the years where we're looking to be free. All right, so here's the thing, is your debt so high that it keeps you from saving, right? I speak to a lot of people, I've spoken to a lot of people over the years in terms of their finances. And the majority of people say they cannot save because they have all of these bills, right? So here's some things that you might want to ask yourself, right? If your debt is so high and it's keeping you from saving, are you doing any of these things? One, are you using your credit cards to pay bills? And I'm not talking about if you're using a credit card, you've got one designated for gas that you pay off every month, or you've got one designated for groceries that you pay off every month. No, that a person doing that has that under control. But I'm talking about you're paying for your gas, your groceries, or whatever else with credit card, not having any money in the bank to cover that, right? So you are using the credit cards as a way of life, as a way of getting by, right? Or are you carrying a revolving balance each month? You know, majority of people don't even understand how credit cards and charge cards works and how the interest is charged. There are 6 different ways that interest can be charged to you on your credit cards, right? And this is why you can go purchase something for $1,000, and because you're paying just the minimum and you're not really paying it off each month or paying a majority of it off each month, you can end up spending 3 times the amount on that item. And often I like to say, you even down the line, 6 months from now, you may not even have the item anymore, but you're still paying on it, right? Are you occasionally or frequently missing a payment on your mortgage, on your credit card, or other monthly bills? You find yourself, you know, juggling. They call it, you know, robbing Peter to pay Paul, right? Do you feel like you'll never get out of debt? Most people do, and that's why I said at the top of this program that most people feel like, hey, debt is just part of life, right? And it does not have to be this way. Go ahead and advance the slide. It does not have to be this way, and debt does not have to be a part of life. So let's take a look at this. Cash cycle versus debt cycle, okay? And the question is, which one do you live in? Do you live in a cash cycle or do you live in a debt cycle, okay? In the debt cycle, your finances control you, okay? You are outspending your income, meaning you are spending more than what is coming in, and then you're trying to, you know, make up for it, you know, maybe with credit cards or payday loans or other types of unhealthy ways that, again, is getting you in debt. You're borrowing to maintain a lifestyle. This is exactly what I was just talking about. Or you're paying off one debt and accruing another. Or maybe you're not even paying off a debt, but you're continuing to accrue debt, right? And so if that is you, then you are living, your finances really are in control of you. Your money is telling you what to do, right? When you go to the store and you have to sit there, look at, you know, think about, oh, let me look first and see how much is in there. And, oh, do I need to pay gas? Do I get gas in my car? Do I put food on the table? Or you have to make choices like that. That means your finances are in control of you. Now, if you're in the cash cycle, the cash cycle, you are in control of your finances, okay? You are debt-free, or you are on the path to being debt-free. You're paying with cash instead of borrowing. And you know, this is the whole problem, because debt didn't used to be a very big issue in the United States. Actually, not too long ago, probably like the 70s, even early 80s, debt didn't used to be this huge of a problem, but credit cards and all of these things became mainstream. And so now people didn't have to be patient because they could just put it on the credit card, right, and make payments. And so we have become an impatient people. We want everything right now, right now, right now, right? And so, and we go into debt because we just have to have everything right now. So instead of saving up and paying with cash, we continue to accrue debt, right? But if you're in control of your finances, you're paying with cash in most cases, and you are investing, you are saving, and you're making sure that you are accumulating assets. Assets are things that you own outright. Assets could also just be cash that you have in your investments, in your bank, all of those things. Go ahead and advance the slide. So let's talk about what we need to do, right? How do we get out of this debt cycle and move into the cash cycle? Because here's the thing, it is absolutely possible. You are looking at someone who has done it herself. Listen, $300,000. Whoa, my goodness, if y'all only even knew my story, okay? $300,000 of debt. We're talking about foreclosures. We're talking about repos. We're talking about credit cards, medical bills. You name it, I had it. Payday loans, whatever the case, you name it, I had it, right? And at this day, I can tell you that I have no debt, right? So becoming debt-free is absolutely possible. And there's many benefits to living debt free. And the thing is, it's just going to take some discipline, right? It has to become a priority, because here's the truth of the matter. The reason why people cannot save is not because they're living paycheck to paycheck. It's because they haven't made saving and investing a priority. Listen, as long as I've been on this earth, okay, and I haven't been here as long as most, but I've been here a little longer than some. As long as I have been on this earth, what I know and understand about us humans is that if it's important to us, we'll make it happen. That's what I know, and that's what I understand, and that's whether we live paycheck to paycheck or not, right? So debt freedom is possible. There are many benefits to living debt free. So how do we do this, right? First of all, we want to save money wherever we can save money. Save money on interest costs by paying cash. Again, can you just be a little bit more patient, right? You want to make a big purchase. I don't know, maybe it's a laptop, maybe it's a television. I don't know, maybe it's a car, but can we be a little bit patient? Can we just put money up each month, save some money that we can buy it outright, right? Or that we can put a sizable down payment down, like 3/4 of it, so we don't have as much to pay off. Ideally, though, paying cash, right? So you can save money, because I'm telling you, those interest charges, they will get you. And like I said, you will buy something and you'll end up paying for it 4 times over, 3, 4, 5 times over because of interest, right? The next thing you want to do is you want to regain control of your family budget. You want to gain control of your family budget. You know, the reason why our family budgets are out of control is because we haven't set any goals to begin with as a family. Okay. And even if you're an individual and you don't have a family, have you sat down and set your financial goals, short term and long term? If you're a family, what are your family goals? Give me a moment, you all, while I take us to the water. I feel my voice can react up. All right. So setting those goals, right? Because if you don't set any goals, then you're out there, you're just kind of aimless, right? Nothing to shoot for. And so therefore that can cause chaos in your finances. So that's the start of regaining control of your finances is number one, setting those goals. And then the next thing to do is really looking at, okay, how much money do we have coming in? What's going out, right? Rein in the spending, okay? Look at our wants versus our needs, right? What do we need and what are just some wants, okay? And anytime we're trying to gain control of our budget, you have 2 options. You can either cut or you can go make more income, but something, or you can do both, okay? But something has to be done, right? The goal here is to have more money to save, more money to invest. Why do we want to do that? Because compound interest works for you, not against you. When you are in debt, that interest is working against you, okay? But when you are investing and saving, instead of paying out 14%, 7%, you know, in your car notes or credit cards, 22%, 24%. If you're investing, that's the interest that you can be making, right? And so again, that's what allows you to have options later on in life, okay? And I don't know about you all, but I am not trying to actively work until I go to the grave, okay? Now, if I'm operating in my purpose and in my passion and just doing some stuff, doing things I want to do because it's my option to, fantastic. But I will be darned if I'm going to work myself to the grave. And I hope that you guys are the same way. You can advance the slide. So what else can we do, right? We're talking about becoming debt free and the fact that it is absolutely possible to do so. If you have been thinking that it's impossible, I want you to change that mindset, right? Mindset is everything. So again, let's identify our needs versus our wants. Do we need that item or do we just want it? And we just need to be honest with ourselves, right? Listen, I was driving the other day, dropping my children off to school, as I normally do in the mornings. and I wanted some Starbucks tea, right? And for me, it wasn't a matter of whether I had the $5.88 to get the tea that I wanted, but it was like, do you need this? You don't need this, right? You want it. Just being honest with myself and saying, well, I just want it. I don't need it, but I just want it, right? And there are some times where I'll say, you know what? I don't want it. Let me take this 588 and go on ahead and add it towards the other monies that's going in my investment account, right? And then there are some mornings where I get it, but I have to I have to be honest with myself and saying, I just wanted it, right? So if you're living paycheck to paycheck, definitely we got to identify the needs versus the wants. Sometimes we got to make a little sacrifice for a short period of time so that we can have options later on in life for a longer period of time, right? And we can have those options earlier. See, society tells us, well, we got to retire at 65, or, they keep bumping that age up. And we think that that's when we need to retire. But if we planned accordingly, we wouldn't have to, right? All right. What other ways can we avoid debt? Never purchase expensive items on impulse. Now, listen closely. This is where having financial goals comes into play. Because if you have goals and you have put a clear action plan in place, it's not as easy for you to spend impulsively, right? And not only if you have goals in place, there's something that's called allocating, right? That it doesn't matter how much money is coming in, when the paychecks are coming in, it doesn't matter. But if like every time my paycheck comes in, 10% is going into my investments, 10% is going to, I don't know, tithe of charity. Another 10% or 15% I'm putting aside for discretionary, my fund money, right? And then 70% or 65% is going towards my household bills. If I've got my allocation set up, that is me taking control of my money. That's me telling money what to do, right? And then I don't have to worry about being impulsive, because I'm gonna look at, okay, do I have this money in my discretionary account? I've been putting money aside, and if I don't, I got to keep on saving until I have it, right? But this is a good thing if you're an impulse buyer. There's a 24-hour rule. Take 24 hours, think it over. And sometimes just giving yourself, well, a lot of times actually just giving yourself that 24 hours to think it over, you're going to tell yourself, you know what, I don't need that right now. I don't need that right now. Okay. You'll reduce regrets about impulse purchases, and you'll have more money for savings, right? And I want you all to make the word savings synonymous with options. Okay. I like to have options. I don't know about y'all. I don't like to be in bondage. I like to have options. All right, go ahead and advance the slides. So we just talked about some easy ways to avoid debt. Let's talk about a couple more as we are going to bring this thing to a close. All right, so we want to eliminate shopping as a hobby, right? Take the amount in item costs. This is a really, really good exercise, by the way. Take the amount in item costs and divide it by what you make per hour. Why would I want to do that, Lexi? Because that's going to tell you how many hours you got to work for that item. Okay, so if the item costs $50 and you make $10 an hour, ask yourself whether the item is really worth 5 hours of your work. Okay, most of us work 8-hour days, right? Think about it. 5 hours of work for a pair of shoes that you don't need. Is it worth it? I don't know, right? All right. And then the next thing, keep track of your spending. This is huge, people. We've gotten lazy over the years, if we're actually honest with ourselves, right? Technology is great, but it has made us lazy people. So now we've moved into this era where we have, we can check our accounts online. All these transactions, we just swipe and all these things, right? We don't have to keep a check register. Probably getting ready to tell a little bit of my age here, but when I was growing up, we had a check register. When I was learning about money, we had a check register, and we had to write each day as we spent stuff or money came in, you'd sit down at the end of the day, you write in your little check register all the little transactions that took place. Well, now we don't have to do that because we have online banking. And so most of us ain't in there looking at those transactions day in and day out. The only thing we're looking at is the balance. Am I right about it or am I right about it? Right? Most of us are just looking at the balance. Okay. So we want to keep track of our spending. Keep a receipt for everything that you spend in 1 month. Now they're saying at the end of the month, but I would say you might even want to do this weekly if you're not used to doing this, right? But at the end of the month, separate the receipts into categories. Look for places where excess spending can be easily reduced. Okay. And I'm going to tell you some of the areas that we overspend in is going out to eat, right? A little $8 here, McDonald's run here, a Starbucks run there, a Hardee's run there. And before you know it, we done racked up about $200 in the week. And because we're not looking at the statement to comb through the transactions, we keep on going. And then we wonder at the end of the month where our money is. And we say we're living paycheck to paycheck, when in fact, most people probably aren't, right? Most of us, including myself, okay, we waste. All right. So the end of the month, separate the receipts into categories, look for places where excess spending can be easily reduced. And here they give you some categories that you can look at. So I talked about dining, entertainment is another one. Clothing is another one, right? These are things that, we don't really think about in our monthly budget. And so these are, when it's like, where does my money go? We have no idea because we're not keeping track. Okay. All right. So those are some easy ways to avoid debt. Go ahead and advance the slide. Go ahead and advance the slide. All right. And if you're here listening to this, I want to know in the chat, if you can, those of you who are able to, in the chat, let me know what have you learned this evening, or what's one or two things maybe that you are going to put into action as it relates to getting out of debt. We've shared with you several ways in which you can get out of debt. I want to hear from you right now, or you can put in the chat, or you can unmute actually. What are a couple of things that you can put into place that you can do so that you can begin getting out of debt?
Hi, Lexi. This is Teresa.
Hey, Teresa.
One of the things I think I could use is the 24-hour rule. And I actually did this the other day without even thinking about it because I wanted to buy a bag. I wanted the bag.
Yeah.
But I was like, do I really need this bag? And actually, I went in and I canceled my order. And I was like, I'm going to think about it. So, yeah, that's going to be good for me.
Yes, absolutely. I'm glad to hear that. She said I did it without even realizing it, but that's exactly what that is, right? Now you can do it very intentionally, right? Looking at it, do I really need these things? One of the things that I ask myself when I go into the store sometimes, and I'm just in there aimlessly getting ready to pick up some things I don't need to be picking up, I'll be like, okay, how are these purchases getting ready to help me with my financial goals? Or, are they, or are they not, So just asking yourself some questions and giving yourself them 24 hours to think it through. All right. Anybody else?
Hi, Lexi.
What is that? Hey, Coach T, how are you?
I'm good. I just wanted to say, where credit cards are concerned, that I had to make it a point to make sure I had the cash to be able to pay whatever I purchased off within a 30-day cycle. And that helped my credit score so much. So that tip actually does work. And if you implement it, you'll see a huge difference in your score over a 6-month period and a year period. You will notice that your score will up and up and up once you start making those payments, basically before the statement date too. and it'll just kick your score up. So the credit is definitely one of those things that if you keep on top of that and notice that and making those payments on time, it'll definitely help.
Absolutely. You are absolutely correct. Oftentimes we're just like, oh, they told me just pay the $24. So that's what I'm gonna pay. We're like, boy, do not do that. You be in debt for a long, 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 long time. Okay. Don't do that. Coach T is absolutely right. And I'm excited because next week, I believe you guys are going to be hearing from her because she's going to be sharing with you all next week on how controlling your finances affects your credit score. You already heard her give a tip here or two. And these are not things that she just learned academically, right? These are things that she has done in her own life. And now she's turning around and helping others to do the same thing, right? So we hope that you have learned something tonight. If not anything else, know that it is possible to get out of debt. And if you are in a place like you are, I've got this debt, I seriously need to get out of debt. I want to be able to have options, to go and come as I please, whether that's retirement or anything else. I want to travel or, maybe there's work for the Lord. You want to do whatever it is. If you want to be able to have options, you want to get out of debt. I'm going to encourage you that you waste no time contacting Ida so that you can get a debt elimination plan in place. This thing is not just going to happen just because you say you want to be debt free. Okay. You got to put some action to that. You got to set some goals. You got to, look at the debt coming in and, or what you're paying out and how you're paying it out and put a plan together and then execute that plan. Okay. So Ida has dropped her Calendly, her link in the chat. You can set an appointment with her. Like I said, if you're sitting in debt right now, it is definitely possible to get out of it. Ida can show you how to get out of debt quicker and pay less money, right? In other words, quicker and not paying as much interest as you will pay if you don't put a debt elimination plan in place. Okay, so coming up next week, we got our financial workshop series 2, how controlling your finances affects your credit score. Ida will be back. Coach T, you already heard her give a little bit of a tip. She'll be here next week with some nuggets. Y'all better come next week with your notebooks and all that stuff, ready to go at it again. We thank you all for coming. Ida, I don't know. I don't know if you wanted to give time for some Q&A or what you wanted to do. I'll let you take it from here.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So before we end, does anybody have any questions or answers? I'm sorry. Hold on. There we go. Okay. So before we end it, does anyone have any questions or any comments?
I want to kind of expand or get a little bit more knowledge on the tip that Coach T gave, because I was just debating. I have a couple credit cards, so I was thinking in my head, does it hurt my credit to pay those credit cards off every month, the balances every month, or should I maintain some balance just to show I have, some good credit history? So which one is more advantageous for me from a credit standpoint, paying the credit cards off entirely each month or paying a significant amount towards those balances?
That is a great question, Teresa. I get that question a lot. So what I'm going to say is that every month, if you pay that balance off, it actually reflects better than if you pay a portion of it. Some people will give you a tip that you pay a portion, but it's actually better to pay the balance in full.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Anyone? Okay, well, I'm not gonna keep you guys. I didn't want to keep you guys longer than 45 minutes. So we're coming up on the time. 6:15 is coming in 3 minutes. So I just want to thank everyone from the bottom of my heart for attending. Please definitely, shoot me an email, shoot me a message, through Messenger on Facebook if you have any questions. Like I said, next week we'll be here for series 2. It's going to be how controlling your finances affects your credit score. So I hope to see all of you, and definitely invite a friend. Please share.
Thank you for having this, Ida. We appreciate this financial wellness workshop. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me on.
No problem. Thank you for joining. And I'm sorry about my internet issues, guys.
All good. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Good night.